at the height of Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution, a group of young Eritrean students posed for a photo on the outskirts of Nanjing. The Eritreans, whose tiny country had been annexed by Ethiopia 5 years previously, were training to be guerrilla fighters in order to win it back. Looking at the photo, it's not hard to guess which student would eventually emerge as a leader. Standing at the back, Issaias Afwerki towers over his comrades and their Chinese tutors, who loyally clutch copies of the Little Red Book. Arms crossed, he looks straight at the camera with a quizzical expression. Since that photo was snapped, China has become a superpower. Nanjing is now overrun by shopping malls, and bold skyscrapers have replaced the modest homes discernible in the photo's background. In contrast, Eritrea seems stuck in a time warp. Not only is it one of the world's poorest countries, it is also a giant prison, from which legions of despairing youngsters try to flee every year. Pundits dismiss it as the North Korea of Africa. You might expect that tall former student, the only president post-independence Eritrea has ever known, to have been consigned to the footnotes of history. But thanks to his cunning and ruthlessness, and to horrific civil wars that have rocked Eritrea's giant neighbors, Ethiopia and Sudan, Issaias has emerged as an unlikely power broker in the Horn of Africa. More prominent leaders are courting him. In May he was given a red carpet reception in Beijing, with full military honors. In July he flew to Moscow for a tête-à-tête with Vladimir Putin. In February he was warmly welcomed to Kenya by President William Ruto, who persuaded him to rejoin a regional trade bloc which he had petulantly quit 15 years ago. He and 2 comrades got matching tattoos of the letter E, for Eritrea. A few years later, Issaias would have one of them executed. To the West, and anyone who cares about human rights, he remains a pariah and a source of trouble. At festivals staged this summer to mark 30 years of Eritrean independence, police forces in Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, Norway, Israel, Canada and the United States were taken aback by the violence of clashes between supporters and opponents of Issaias's government. The confrontations resulted in dozens of police casualties. What's clear is that Issaias can no longer be ignored. The 77-year-old Issaias ticks many of the classic dictator boxes. He has jailed former colleagues and journalists, neutralized possible military challengers, blocked the establishment of political parties, emasculated parliament and never held a national election. Yet in other ways he doesn't fit the mold. Priding himself on his man-of-the-people image, he avoids ostentation. He may don suits for summits with Xi Jinping and Putin, but at home is more frequently seen in short-sleeved jackets and open-toed sandals. His wife is similarly low-key. She wore a zip-up tracksuit when she received the Ethiopian Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, at the family home. Despite his iron grip on power, his portrait isn't plastered all over the country and his subordinates waste little time nurturing a personality cult. Issaias isn't interested in luxury brands, personal wealth or the trappings of office, says Dan Kamal, an Eritrea expert who has interviewed the president many times. The only thing that interests him is power. Issaias was born in 1946 on the outskirts of Asmara. Located on a rugged plateau separating what used to be the landlocked kingdom of Abyssinia from the Red Sea, the town became the capital of Eritrea after Italy, which had seized a strip of coastal land in 1890, decided to move the administration of its first African colony to the cool of the highlands. Over the next few decades, Italy's most talented architects got to work, designing modernist palazzi and Art Deco cinemas and laying out palm-lined avenues, piazzas and fountains. In 1935 Benito Mussolini used it as a springboard for his invasion of Abyssinia, the old name for Ethiopia. By the time Issaias was born, Italy and Germany had lost the Second World War and Eritrea was under the control of the British Army. The British regarded the colony as a ludicrous white elephant, and were keen to hand it over to the unculturally. The former Italian colony was divided between Orthodox Christians who wanted to be part of Ethiopia, and a mostly Muslim movement agitating for independence. In 1952 the UN tried to please everyone by making Eritrea part of a federation with Ethiopia. Eritreans adopted a sky blue flag in homage to the international body that had given them a degree of autonomy.